welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. The nice weather is finally here and getting outside is uppermost on my mind. But we want to stay hydrated, right? So today we've got a water bottle holder with a strap tutorial for you. And we're going to be using 24/7 cotton by Lion Brand. We'd like to thank Lion Brand Yarns for sponsoring today's video. I recently stocked up on 24/7 cotton because I absolutely love the stuff. I love the colors, I love the way it feels, I love the overall finished look it gives a project, and because of the way they spin the cotton, everything has a bit of a sheen to it, which gives a finished project a little bit more polish, and I love that. We're going to link to Lion Brand Yarns in the description box and the pinned comment down below, so you can pop over there and check out all of the pretty colors that 24/7 cotton comes in. This is actually the second water bottle tutorial or water bottle holder tutorial that we've done, and we'll link to the first one we made down below as well. This one varies a little bit though. This one has a different stitch. We're using one of my all-time favorite patterns, the Primrose stitch. It's got more color in it because I wanted it to have a nice fresh spring summery feel, and the strap is actually built into the water bottle holder as we crochet using a really simple join as you go method. Now, I know sometimes some of you hear the words join as you go and you get a little squirrely, so that's another reason we've linked the other tutorial for the other water bottle holder down below. If you'd rather make the strap separately and sew it on later, we did that with the previous water bottle holder, and that strap works on this project. This strap works on that project too, and you can use Lion Brand's 24/7 cotton for both of them. So have fun making a few water bottle holders this weekend. All right, let's grab our hooks, we'll grab our yarn, we'll head on over to the craft table. I'm going to take my water bottle with me and stay hydrated, and we'll stitch up a Primrose water bottle holder together. In order to make our Primrose stitch water bottle holder, I'm using 3 different colors of 24/7 cotton by Lion Brand. I've got white, lemon, and aqua here. Now for this project you need approximately 160 yards of a size 4 medium weight 100% a cotton yarn, and these balls all individually have 186 yards in them, so you could technically make this using only one ball of color. And if you're only going to use one color, I'm going to show you what to do if you're not changing colors. Or if you've got a lot of colors you want to work into this project, feel free to use more than 3. You're going to want a pair of scissors, a yarn needle. I'm using a 5mm hook. This is also known as an H or an 8 in the US. Possibly a 6 if you have old hooks from the UK, and you might want a measuring tape. This is handy if you want to double check your gauge at the bottom of your little water bottle holder, or if you want to make it larger. And once you've got all that together, we can get started. Please visit our shop and purchase a pattern. It helps support our show, and we'll put a link to our shop in the description box down below. I'm going to be using several light colors for the spring and summer in this project, so I will be changing the background now and again just so you can a little bit better see the color I'm using. And because I'm starting with the light blue, I've switched up the background color. We're all going to begin with a cinch circle. And if you find cinch circles difficult to do, you can make a chain of 4 and join with a slip stitch and use a chained ring. We want to have a bottom that's got a very small or no space in the very middle circle. Once you've got your chained ring or your cinch circle, we're going to single crochet 6 times into that circle. Once you've got 6 single crochets worked into your circle, if you're using a cinch circle, cinch it up nice and tight. If you're just using the chained ring, you don't have to do any cinching. And we're all going to work directly into the first single crochet from row 1. So we're working in the round, we are not joining our rows. We're going to slip our hook into that first stitch. I'm going to work over top of my short tail. And into each of those 6 stitches from row 1, we're going to work 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So 2 single crochet in each stitch will go from a stitch count of 6 all the way up to 12. Once you've worked 2 single crochet into each of those stitches from row 1, again, we're not joining our rows, we're working in the round. We are going to continue increasing now. We are going to work a little repeater pattern 6 times of the following. 2 single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet once into the next stitch. So the pattern is 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, all the way around. You do that 6 times and you'll be up to 18 stitches. We should be up to 18 stitches now all the way around. We're going to continue increasing, and the new pattern, repeated again 6 times, is 2 single crochet into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So the pattern is 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet. You're going to repeat that 6 times in total, and you'll go from 18 stitches to 24. At the end of row 4, we have 24 stitches. We're going to continue increasing now up from 24 to 30 stitches. So the new pattern is 2 single crochet into the first stitch, and a single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So that's 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2, 1, 1, 1. All the way around, you repeat that 6 times an increase 4 to 5, and you'll have 30 stitches at the end of row 5. At the end of row 5, we should have 30 stitches all the way around. We're going to continue increasing now, and we are going to go from 30 to 36 stitches. So the new pattern is 2 single crochet into the first stitch, and a single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. So that's 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. You're going to repeat that 6 times total, and you'll go from 30 stitches to 36 stitches at the end of row 6. At the end of row 6, we all have 36 stitches. We're going to do one more row of increasing now, row 7. This begins with 2 single crochet in the first stitch, and a single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 2 single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Repeat that 6 times total, and you'll have 42 stitches at the end of row 7. At the end of row 7, we should all have 42 stitches all the way around. We're now going to single crochet into each of the next 8 stitches, so that's a single crochet into each of the next 8 stitches. That does not change our stitch count. It simply brings our last stitch up to be in alignment with where row 1 turns into row 2. And that just gives us a nice even circular bottom from which to work the next few rows. Now, before you go any further, you're going to pull up on your loop. You're going to flatten it down on your working surface, grab your measuring tape, and measure the diameter of the circle. So find the very middle of the circle and measure it across. You should be anywhere between 3 1/4 to 3 1/2 inches wide. If you're a little over, that's fine, because that'll just accommodate a larger water bottle. Now remember, if you're worried about your tension, this pattern will stretch out a little bit with wear and use. So don't worry too much if you're a little bit tight. Now, if you're not anywhere between 3 1/4 or more, if you're less than 3 1/4, you can work one more round of increasing. And if you're just all over the place, then you might want to start again with a slightly larger hook if it's far too small. And if you're way too big, then you might want to use a much smaller hook. So start over and use a smaller hook. And that's the gauge for the bottom of our water bottle holder. Once we know we've got a circular bottom in the size that we want, we're just going to work 4 more rows now of just straight single crochet. So no more increasing. We're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And if you have trouble keeping track of where the beginning of a row is, you can use a stitch marker or a clip or even your sort of yarn needle, whatever you've got lying around, another piece of yarn, and just mark the first stitch of each row so that you know you've done a complete round when you get back up to it. Work your next first stitch, move your stitch marker, and so on. And that'll just help you keep track if you're kind of getting interrupted a lot while you're crocheting, or you just don't want to sit there and count out the number of stitches per round. It's an easy way to keep track of where you're at. Or you can just work and work and work and work and work, and then just continue to count the rows until you know you've got the right number. So we worked 7 in the base. We're going to work 4 more rows. That's going to bring us up to the end of row 11. And I will see you at that point. At the end of row 11, you should have a little bit of a bowl shape happening. If yours feels really wide, that's only because your tension is a little easier than mine. Not a big deal. You want to make sure you've got the right number of stitches all the way around, and that should be 42. Now, if you added more increase rows, it should be a multiple of 6. And whatever that is, make sure you write it down. You're going to want to keep track of that. But you should have 42 stitches in the end of row 11. It's the same number of stitches you would have had at the end of row 7. You're going to slip stitch now into the next stitch to close off the row. If you are not changing color, don't do anything, just slip stitch like we've done here and hold on. For the rest of us changing colors, we're going to snip our yarn, fasten off. You can weave in your tails or leave them to the inside and weave them in later. And grab your next color, and because I'm switching to yellow, I'm going to change the background once again. All right, back to a light blue background. We are changing colors. For those of us changing colors, we're going to grab our new color, start with a slip knot on our hook. If you're not changing colors, just hang on. We are going to join our yarn in the same stitch that we fastened off in. If you just slip stitched here because you're not changing colors, then stand by. We're going to join with a slip stitch. So now we're all in the same place. We're all going to chain 3 to begin the primrose stitch. So the chain 3 at the beginning of an odd row or a shell row counts as a double crochet. 2 more double crochet into that same stitch. 3 double crochet equals 1 shell. So 1 shell, 3 double crochet. Skip 2 stitches, find the 3rd and work 3 double crochet or 1 shell into that stitch. You are going to work 3 double crochet or a shell into every 3rd stitch all the way around. If you had 42 stitches at the end of row 7 like I did, or row 11 I should say, then you will have 14 shells all the way around. If you made more increasing rows, then make sure you consult with your notes. However many stitches that should be, it should be a multiple of 6. Divide it by 3, and that will give you the number of shells that you should have at the end of this first row of the primrose stitch. So 3 double crochet every 3rd stitch. Once you've worked your last shell, and you should have 14 if you had 42 stitches at the end of row 11 like I did, or whatever your last row count of stitches was divided by 3, that'll give you the number of shells you should have. Skip the last 2 stitches. Don't be fooled by the little false stitch. Remember, that's created when we join a row when we're working in the round, so we don't count it. Skip those last 2 stitches, join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 that began the row. And that is the first row of the primrose stitch. Now the primrose stitch consists of 2 little repeating rows, so here goes row number 2. This is going to be the odd row for the sake of this pattern, and then there's a little even row. At the end of an odd row, you join the row with a slip stitch, and then you slip stitch into the next stitch, so that we're starting the even row of the primrose stitch in the middle of a shell. So right in that middle stitch there. Chain 1 to begin the row, and into the same stitch you work a single crochet, 2 chains, and a single crochet, and this creates a little bud. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all worked into the same stitch creates a little bud. So you've got like a little space right there. Find the next shell, find the middle stitch, and repeat. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into the same stitch. Little bud, little bud. Find the next shell, find the middle stitch, repeat. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. At the end of your second round of the primrose stitch, or the even row, you'll have just as many little buds as you have shells, and they should look like that. At the end of an even row or a little bud row, you're going to finish your last little bud, which is a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all worked into the middle stitch of a shell. And you're going to find the first single crochet you made and join with a slip stitch to it to complete the row. And there you go. You've got 1 little bud for each of those shells, and that is the complete primrose stitch pattern. I'm going to change color again. For those of you who are not changing color, you can simply slip stitch into the chain 2 space. So just slip stitch into the very next chain 2 space and wait. If you are changing color like me, join an even row or a little bud row with a slip stitch to that first single crochet and fasten off. And again, I'm going to look after all of my little tails at the end. So I'm just going to fasten off nice and tight and just tuck it to the inside for now. Grab my next color. I'm moving into white now. I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. So if you're changing colors, slip knot on your hook, find the next chain 2 space. So this is where you are if you're not changing colors. You should be in here with a slip stitch, just waiting. For the rest of us, we're going to join our new color with a slip stitch so that we're all in the same place. This is the chain 2 space, the middle of a little bud, and we're going to make an odd row or a shell stitch row again. And here we go. Chain 3 to begin. The chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and work 2 more double crochet into the same space. So every single shell will sit in the middle of a little bud, and every little bud will sit in the middle of a shell. Nice and easy to remember. You'll have the same number of shells and the same number of buds in every single row going forward. Find the next chain 2 space or the middle of a little bud and work 3 double crochet into it, or a shell. Easy peasy. You don't really have to keep track of what you're doing, you just have to keep looking for the next little chain 2 space. 3 double crochet right into it, and you're going to do that all the way around. When you finish the last shell in a shell stitch row, that'll be 3 double crochet into the last little bud. You join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 that began the row. That closes off the row, and you slip stitch immediately into the top of that middle stitch so that you're in the right position to start the even row or the little bud row of the pattern. Chain 1 to start the row. That chain 1 doesn't really do anything, it doesn't count, it just brings us up to the right height, and then we make our first little bud. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and that's a little bud made. Each little bud sits in the middle stitch of the next shell all the way around. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. You have just as many little buds as you have shells all the way around. When you finish a little bud row, you work your last little bud into the middle of the last shell, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. If you are not changing color, slip stitch into that chain 2 space. If you are changing color, snip your yarn, fasten off, and join your next color with a slip stitch in that same chain 2 space. Chain 3 and begin a shell stitch row all over again. Now each of these complete primroses, so a shell stitch row and a little bud row, will be about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters tall. And there's going to be some stretch, so with use this is going to stretch out. I recommend repeating the little primrose stitch motif around 7 times. If you feel you have a loose tension, you can repeat it 6 times. If you feel you're really tight and everything's really small, you can repeat it 8 times. Ultimately, it's up to you. It doesn't matter if it's a little tall or a little short. Your bottle will be quite happy sitting inside your water bottle holder. So go ahead and repeat this little primrose stitch for as many rows as you want to make it as tall as you need or as short as you like, and I'll catch up with you in a little while. I've completed 6 full repeats of the primrose stitch, or 12 rows of it in total. Remember, you've got an odd and an even, odd, even, etc. Not stretching, this area through here measures around 14 centimeters or a little over 5 inches. But because a water bottle can be kind of heavy, I know there is going to be some stretch and play in my holder. So I've decided that 6 full repeats of the stitch is enough for me. I don't have too many terribly tall water bottles, but nothing is going to come tumbling out of this, and we still have a couple of finishing rows to go. So like I said before, you can do as many real repeats of the primrose stitch that you want. Just make sure you're ending on an even row or that little bud row, because now we're going to move on to the finishing rows. We want to add a couple of smaller, tighter stitched rows just to give a little bit of strength to the top of our water bottle holder, because we're going to be attaching a strap to it. I will be changing colors for this project right at this point, but if you don't want to change colors, or you've been sort of just doing it all one color all the way along, you can just slip stitch into that chain 2 space as though you were going to start another odd row or shell stitch row of the primrose. So you can slip stitch in there, or if you're changing colors like me, snip your yarn, fasten off, and again, you can weave in all of your yarn tails at the end or do them as you go. It's up to you. And grab your next color. I'm going back to sunny yellow for the last couple of rows along the top of my water bottle holder. And I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the next chain 2 space. If you're not changing colors, you should have slip stitched into that space and be ready to go. We're going to chain 1. This chain 1 doesn't count as anything. And into the same space, we're going to work 3 half double crochets. So we're going to do a row of half double crochet, 3 half double crochets in each of those chain 2 spaces. It's like making small shells all the way around. So find the next chain 2 space, 3 half double crochets into it, and you'll have the same number of little shells or half double crochet shells all the way around as you would for the regular shells or even the little bud row. So 3 half double crochet stitches worked into each chain 2 space all the way around. Once you've worked your last 3 half double crochet stitches into the top of your last bud or that last chain 2 space, you're going to find the first half double crochet you made, so ignore the chain 1 that started, find the half double crochet stitch, and instead of joining, we're actually going to single crochet into it. So we're going to make a nice, no seam, no join, we're just going to single crochet into it, and single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So in this final row, you'll have 42 single crochet, or the same number of single crochet that you had in your last row of increase. So you're working a single crochet stitch for every single one of your half double crochets from the row before, and this is just creating a bit of a strong top for our water bottle holder because we want to attach a strap to it. Once you finish the last single crochet in the last row, you're going to find the first one you made and join with a slip stitch, and that finishes off the last row of our little water bottle holder. Now I'm going to use yellow to make my strap, so I will not be cutting my yarn because the strap is going to be built directly into the top of our water bottle holder. If you want to change colors for your strap, you're more than welcome to do so, in which case you can fasten off and then just rejoin your yarn in the same place. But first we're going to split up the top of our holder stitchwise so that we know where we're going to be joining our strap as we work. So I'm going to pull up on my loop, get it out of the way. This is the stitch that I joined in, so I'm going to start counting from this stitch all the way around the other side. 42 stitches is the final number in the top of our bag, or if you had a custom number, make sure you know what that number is. And we're going to divide it by 2, so that brings us to 21. If you folded your bag in half, you'd have 21 stitches here and 21 stitches there, or your custom number divided by 2. Take that number, 21, or custom divided by 2, and add 4 more to it. So that brings us up to 25. I'm going to start here and count 25 stitches away from where I joined my yarn to finish off my last row, and then I'm going to mark my 25th stitch with a little stitch marker. I have now counted 25 stitches away from where I joined my yarn, and I've marked the 25th stitch with a stitch marker. Stitch marker, piece of yarn, your yarn needle, whatever you've got lying around, but you do want to mark that 25th stitch. Hook back in the working loop, and now we're going to chain. You can chain as many as you need in order to create a strap of the desired length you want. So this is something that maybe you want go crossbody, over your shoulder, maybe you just want a little strap because you want to connect this to your backpack. It's entirely up to you. If you want a really short strap just to connect it to a backpack, 20 is probably a good chained length. I'm going to start with 130 because 130 chains should be long enough to wrap crossbody over my body and make it comfortable for me to slip this and its strap over my head. But however many chains you need is entirely up to you. The actual length does not matter, but you do want to make note of how many chains you make just so you can keep track of your stitch count later. And another little thing that you want to do if you have trouble with long chained lengths that get twisted on you. Start chaining your strap foundation chains and don't move your holder. Let it sit on the surface in front of you, whether it's the work table or your lap, and don't let it spin around. Just let it sit there and chain away from it. This way, when you have a long foundation chain, even if the chain looks like it's twisted, it won't be because you were always chaining away from it. The bottom of your work didn't spin around, and that way you know that you'll have an untwisted chained length to work back across on row 1. I've chained 130, but again, the number of chains doesn't matter so long as it's a long enough strap. Keep in mind though that with wear this is going to stretch out a little bit on you, so to err on the side of a few chains fewer is better than a few chains more. I did not pick up or move my work, so I know that my foundation chain hasn't twisted. I'm going to remove my stitch marker from that 25th stitch, insert my hook into it, and I'm going to join. Oops, make sure my yarn is on the right side. And I'm going to slip stitch to join right in that stitch. So I've just leapt across and joined into that stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into the 24th stitch. So that was stitch 25, that's stitch 24, chain 1, and now I'm going to single crochet all the way back across my foundation chain. So I'm going to find that first chain, and I'm going to single crochet in each one across. Because I know that this did not twist on me, I'm not terribly worried about it looking twisted. So even if it looks twisted like this, I know that it hasn't actually twisted from the point that I started chaining to the point that I joined. So as you work, just focus on one little chain at a time. And if you feel like your work is starting to get twisted, just pick up where your last stitch was made, hold it between your thumb and forefinger, and just gently smooth that chain back between your thumb and forefinger, and it will flatten back down again. Remember, you want to see that nice little daisy chain running flat across your fingers. That's how you know that your work hasn't twisted. And just single crochet in each chain all the way back, and I'll catch up with you on the other side. Once you've worked the last single crochet into the last chain, you're going to join now to the other side of your water bottle holder. And this is basically what we're going to do. We're going to keep joining back and forth. So we're going to find the next stitch along the edge of the bag. So this one was worked into. We're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. That would be stitch number 2, and this is stitch number 3. We're going to slip stitch into that one as well along the edge of the bag. Chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way back across our little strap. So single crochet in each stitch all the way back across. You shouldn't have any problem with any twisting now. You can sort of move a little quicker, and I'll catch up with you on the other side. Row 2 takes us all the way back across. We're looking at the inside of the bag and the inside edge of the other side of our water bottle holder. You're going to slip stitch into the next unworked stitch. That would be 24, 25, 24, and this would be 23 that we just worked into, and then this would be stitch number 22. So slip stitch to join, slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, and then single crochet in each stitch all the way back across. And you're going to do this until you've made 4 complete rows on your water bottle holder strap. When you get back to the other side, so that'll be all the way back over here, you'll slip stitch into the next stitch to join, slip stitch into the stitch after that, chain 1, and then single crochet all the way back across, and then we'll be finishing off on the other side. So work a couple more rows joining as you go, and I'll catch up with you at the end of row 4. There's row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. So row 3 comes back, we slip stitch to join, slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, and that starts row 4 all the way across to the other side. And when you're finished row 4, I'm just going to put my hook back in my working loop here. That brings us to the opposite side where we're looking at the inside edge. We're going to join with a slip stitch in the next unworked stitch, and that is that. 4 rows of a strap. It's not twisted, it's attached as you go. We can snip our yarn, fasten off, and now we can file in or weave in all of our little tails. You might have a whole bunch of them on the inside. So I recommend you just flip the whole thing inside out. Grab your yarn needle, and now you can start weaving in those little tails. So for example, if you've got a little one, I like to try to match all of my colors to the same color. And I'm just going to pick my hook into, or place my hook underneath some of the little stitches or loops that I come across, weave them through a few, and then turn around and pull them back through the same ones, just so they don't want to come out. So I'm weaving my tails in underneath the loops. This is the inside of the water bottle holder. And I'm going to do this for all my little tails all the way up. Once you've woven in all your tails, pull your little water bottle holder right side out, and you are all ready to toss a bottle in there and go for a hike. I just love the feel of this stuff. 24/7 cotton has such a nice soft feel. It's smooth. It even moves up and down over top of your bottle really, really smoothly. So you don't have to pull the bottle right out of your water bottle holder to take a sip. Love it. And thank you again to Lion Brand for sponsoring today's video. Once again, check out lionbrand.com. We've got them linked down below, and the 24/7 cotton comes in so many colors. Well, you could make it all one color. You could make it multiple colors like I did. You can have a lot of fun with a few balls of 24/7 cotton yarn. That said, we hope you enjoyed making this along with us this week, and we will see you soon here on the Jayda InStitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, stay hydrated, and have a great week, everyone. Bye!
Hi, everybody. Mr. InStitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.